This pandemic has tested us all. But a lot of what it's shown us, we already knew. We knew our communities would meet this moment. We knew our people would rise to the occasion. We knew Stanford Medicine, made up of Stanford Children's Health, Stanford School of Medicine, and Stanford Healthcare, would be relentless in finding a way forward. Because no matter what the challenge, we would face it together. Together, we are working to end this pandemic. And together, we are ready for what's next. Today, tomorrow, always. We are Stanford Medicine, and we are here for you.
Hello and welcome, Chamber members, not yet members, sponsors, and guests. I'm Dawn Argula, CEO and President of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us for the kickoff of our 2021 Wine Country event season. And thank you for taking the time to participate and for your patience with this virtual platform. We look forward to returning to in-person events very soon. Although we cannot be hosted today in person on one of our beautiful local winery properties, we are there in spirit through the magic of technology, coming to you from the Amos Productions studio. Thank you to Amos Productions, our technology partner producing today's event. And thank you to Garay Vineyard Cafe for partnering with us today for lunch. We are very pleased to host the annual State of the City presentation, and for his first time at this podium since his election to the office of Livermore Mayor, Bob Woerner. Each year, we look forward to this report and hearing about the city's progress on issues that are a priority for this chamber and for the business community. First, some important acknowledgements. We are fortunate to have the support and representation of our elected officials, some of which are streaming with us today. In studio, our guest of honor and keynote speaker, Livermore Mayor Bob Woerner, Vice Mayor Trish Monroe, Council members Bob Carling, Brittany Kick, and Gina Bonanno, and from Dublin, Mayor Melissa Hernandez, and Vice Mayor Sean Kumagai, and Council member Sherry Hu. From Pleasanton, Mayor Carla Brown. From San Ramon, Mayor Dave Hudson. We almost have a Tri-Valley Mayor Summit going on here today. And from the Livermore School District Board of Education, Board President Craig Bueno, Board members Ann White, Emily Prusso, Christy Wang, and Yanira Guzman. From the East Bay Regional Park District Board, Board member Ann Wieskamp. From the Livermore Area Recreation and Park District Board, member Jan Palajak. I also wish to acknowledge the many public officials from various city, county, regional, state, and federal agencies, as well as our partner business organizations that are participating today. Thank you all for your service. You play a major role in supporting business and strengthening the local economy. The relationship between this chamber, indeed all chambers of commerce, and our government partners was crucial to supporting the business community over the past 15 months. It is exciting and a huge relief to have the economy reopen and major restrictions lifted. However, as we transition through the economic recovery, many businesses are facing new challenges with supply chain issues, attracting sufficient numbers of workers, and contending with deep financial effects of loans and, in some cases, months of deferred rent. The partnerships we have gained and nurtured must be maintained to ensure that we all have a seat at the table and move our economy to a sustainable, resilient, and strong future. This chamber's almost 100-year reputation is due in great part to the amazing leadership of its board of directors and the partnership of its Chairman Circle sponsors. Our board is comprised of 21 representatives from local businesses from across many industry sectors. Our Chairman Circle has 33 members, featured on the opening slides from as many industries. We deeply appreciate the partnership of these representatives and their businesses. Your support and involvement were key to sustaining this chamber as it navigated the impacts due to the public health crisis and during the current economic recovery. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The Chamber produces these popular events due to the generous support of its event sponsors. Sincere thanks to the sponsors of today's event, our Cabernet sponsors, Altamont Corridor Express and the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, Cemex, and Stanford Healthcare ValleyCare. Our Chardonnay sponsor is Uncle Credit Union. Thank you all. And now for a word from one of our sponsors.
When you're ready to travel again, we are too. We look forward to once again being a part of your commute. We're taking extra precautions on our trains and at our stations to ensure traveling is as safe as possible. We're ready when you're ready, because you're our number one priority.
Now, I welcome to the stage Harold Roundtree, CEO of Uncle Credit Union and our chairman of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors.
Thank you, Dawn. What a great day today. No mask. And I know you guys are happy about that. It's just fun. When I go to the gym now, I don't feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. I can breathe. Nothing to joke about, but it's been a little bit tough. And I did go to the gym. I'm in a suit today, my first time in a few months. And I didn't pick up like I did in high school and college, the freshman 15, so I didn't pick up the COVID 15. I can still fit in it. But on with the show. Don missed a very important acknowledgement, and that's the power behind this Chamber of Commerce. It's a team, and that team, of course, is Don, Vice President Martha Espinosa, Director of Member Services Christy Balzac, and we also have some new additions, Elise Hollish and Emily Nico. I want to thank the team. None of this happens. It's a team effort, and they do a heck of a job to make it happen. I am so pleased to introduce our program with Mayor Bob Woerner. I understand that the mayor will cover a lot of ground today, so pay attention and submit your questions in the chat feature on your screen for the Q&A portion of the program at the end of the mayor's presentation. Bob was elected Livermore mayor in 2020. His prior service began when he was appointed to the city council in January of 2012, re-elected in 2014, and again in 2020. As designated in our bylaws, he has a seat at the table of the chamber and attends our board of director meetings on a recurring basis. Prior to serving on the council, Bob was on the Livermore Planning Commission, and he brings a wealth of technical and scientific understanding and professional business experience to help govern the city. He spent the early part of his career as a physicist at Bell Labs and at the Lawrence Livermore National Lab, followed by 36 years in various industries and leadership positions in finance, strategy, and information technology. Bob recently retired from PG&E as a senior director in electric operations. His group received an award from the Department of Energy for innovative improvements to the interconnection process for rooftop solar installations. Bob has two adult sons, Phil and Steve, and he is married to Nova Starling, a local artist and president of Art and Resources to Inspire. Now get a load of this education. Bob has an MBA in finance from UC Berkeley and a BS, MS, and PhD degrees in physics from MIT. He also served as a captain in the Air Force Reserve. As we have just endured one of the most painful periods of time in modern history, we're all going to be interested in hearing about the impacts to the city and its response to make progress, to move forward and deliver results, to create a resilient and prosperous future for us all, that where we live and work and, I might add, play. And we also do business here. Please join me in welcoming Livermore Mayor Bob Woerner.
California, a land of incomparable vistas, inspiring architecture, and breathtaking engineering marvels, precious natural resources, and people dedicated to protecting the environment that sustains us. Cemex is dedicated to supporting sustainability efforts in California with our family of low-carbon ready-mix concrete called Vertua. Vertua is concrete designed with CO2 reduction in mind. Vertua Classic helps you achieve a 20 to 30% carbon reduction. It's available now at most Cemex plants in California, along with technical support and mixed design services. And coming soon, Vertua Plus and Vertua Ultra. Low-carbon Vertua can help your next project reduce its carbon footprint and qualify for LEED and other green certifications. It's tomorrow's concrete today. At Cemex, we're doing our part to build a better future with Vertua, low carbon by design.
Okay, welcome everyone, and thanks for that introduction, Harold and Don, and thanks to the Chamber for inviting me to speak to you all today, and thanks to everyone for showing up today to hear it, and thanks to Amos Productions for hosting this event in their studios. The bottom line is Livermore is doing really well. We've come out of the pandemic in fairly good shape. We're prepared for emergencies. We're financially strong. We've got a resilient local economy, new housing and construction, continued progress downtown. We're ready for the challenges ahead, and we continue as an award-winning city. So that was the Cliff Notes version of my talk. And before I get into the details, I really want to emphasize, as Don did earlier, thank you to all. We as the community really came together and help each other out, and the incredible cooperation from our city, county, and other governments, and our businesses and nonprofit organizations really made a difference. And some of the logos are shown here. I'm sure it's not complete, but it gives you an idea of just what it took. And I really want to say, acknowledge most importantly, the cooperation from all the members of our community who had to sacrifice and reflect and readjust so much of their daily lives. And let's keep that cooperative spirit as we start getting back to our more normal lives. So here's the, with respect to how we're doing with the COVID, I also want to say thanks to all of our frontline workers who really work so hard and risk so much in the early days. And thanks to all the government entities and our medical providers for helping out to deploy the vaccine. And looking at the chart that we have here, you can see that there's that we've it's really a lot decreased from the peak in the middle, and that we're on a good track, but let's make sure we stay safe as we reopen. Now, one of the things that we did here was acted quickly to help, and that was through a local declaration of emergency, and we established several executive orders, and our surrounding cities did the same. And I'm not going to read the whole list, but I would like to highlight, the temporary moratorium on fines and evictions, and the fact that we really helped, as you can see here on the pictures, the outdoor dining. We acted quickly to put barriers up, and fortunately we were configured well to do this, and we took advantage of it. We also capped the third-party food delivery service providers fees. And what we also saw was we looked like we had enough cushion in our reserves and our operating funds that we could deploy funds quickly to help. And shown here, a list of about where we put $2 million out in various programs. And the thing I want to emphasize here is that we did it in such a way to leverage our funds. And so we got matching funds from some of the county, and we got matching funds through our e-gift program from the community. And so we did everything we could to help. And I've heard from several people that it made a difference. Now, the next topic that I want to go over is public safety, and shown here are a few things. But remember the lightning complex fire, and it was really sobering because we had to consider evacuating Livermore. It was quite serious. And fortunately, for the leadership of John Marchand, we have now an emergency operations center, and you can see it also is our council chambers, but there's a lot of communications antenna on the roof if you look carefully. And over on the right is the operations center, and there is just a ton of communications, not only the wireless, but wired, so that we can keep in contact with all the organizations that need to coordinate. Shown here in the pictures where our fire department recently partnered with the California Highway Patrol to do some rescue training, and then you also see some of our police. We've got them on bicycles so they can help out with downtown and be more flexible as well. So the further, what we have here is we're really prepared for emergencies. And this is something we started a few years ago. And we have specialized emergency management training for the staff, a lot of things to make sure we've got best practices. But the thing that I'd also want to emphasize is we're reaching out to the community to help the community be prepared. And we're also partnering with our other interagencies in the city, the park district, the school district, the labs, and they're all integrated into our operations management structure. So we're set to go here. The other thing that happened, of course, just before the pandemic hit, is we had a cyber attack. And this is one of the areas that we were talking about getting going on, but now we're doing it quite seriously. And one of the keys here is that we're transferring our critical operating systems to the cloud to get a lot more security there. And I'd say that, fortunately, we were attacked. It did disrupt service, but we didn't have to buy any bitcoins to get out of it, and we're not planning on doing that in the future. So the next topic is financial strength. And this is what we need in order to be able to weather all the storms that come after us. And this is something that the city has been very good at. We had reserves before the Great Recession. We built them up quickly, and we were set for the pandemic. And I've got to warn you that just as much as Mayor Marchand loved all things water, I like finance. So Mark Roberts, our city manager, suggested that Doug Alicio may be handing out an exam at the end of this section. So bear with me, but I think some of this is very important because this is the basis which allows us to do everything else. So what I'm going to start with is, where do we spend all our money? And I'm going to just point out on the top part of this slide, it's fire and police. That's half our budget. So public safety is important, always will be important. It's the number one reason that city government exists, frankly, and we understand that, and that's where the money goes. We've also got a good chunk on community development because we need to make sure that we've got a good community. So now, where does the money come from? And that's what got hit on the pandemic. And you can see the top slices. We have property taxes, sales taxes, and other taxes. And on the bottom there is intergovernmental at 13%, and that's mostly DMV license fees that is our share of that. Now, the Property taxes didn't get hit because of the time frame there, but sales taxes and other taxes did. And the other thing I'll mention is that permit fees actually went up slightly as everybody was home saying, hey, I got to fix this place if I'm going to have to be here 24/7. So I'll just go through this real quickly. Here's what the property taxes look like. You can see the dip that lagged the Great Recession, but we don't see a change here. And the dashed is the forecast for where we see it going in the future. And if anything, they might be going up with the way property tax values are skyrocketing. On the sales and use taxes, this you can see the dramatic impact of the Great Recession, and then you can see where we got hit in the pandemic at the end, but we're expecting a reasonably a good recovery there. The other place that you can well understand that got hit were the transient occupancy tax, a really dramatic downturn as people start traveling. And it remains to be seen what's going to happen in the future. Is business travel going to recover, or is everybody going to get used to the Zoom meetings? So given those two hits, let me just show you what happened with our general fund and sort of the history, and we've got the projections here. Again, you can see the Great Recession, and we lost $12.5 million of the general fund. It was a significant hit, and it took a while to come back up. There's pretty much of a shift of the curve. And you can see over on the right what happened with COVID, and we've lost nearly 20 million of financial impacts, and I'll go through those in a second. And we're also in that area, we're fortunately going to be able to continue our capital investment in the downtown. So on the next slide, it's called a waterfall chart for those that are into the finance kind of stuff. But this is the pandemic impact on the general fund. And now this isn't just one fiscal year, but this is over the multiple years, and we're expecting to be the net of it across multiple years. You can see over on the left, the red bars represent decreases where we lost money. Sales tax, hotel tax. We spent a couple million on those business grants that I mentioned earlier. We did get some salary savings, and the other big chunk that came back at us was the American Relief Act, and that was about 10 million. And without that, we'd really be hurting. We also got a CARES Act of $1 million. The net impact was, as I said, 20 million from COVID, and that's a big chunk of change in the scheme of things. Now this next chart, a little complicated, and want to try and explain it. In the middle is we had a $20 million impact, and what happened is in that chart it shows where we spent it. It was our unassigned reserve fund. We burned $4.5 million. The salary savings of vacancy savings 2. The foregone infrastructure, the postponed stormwater projects, and we had other operational reductions, and so that's how we absorbed the 20 million. What I want to point out, the two charts on the either side of it are represent our reserve fund balance, and you can see the top one is the unassigned, and it's going to be completely gone, and we're also going to be spending 16 million on our downtown projects. And the other point here is that we were not able to put 6 million into our reserve fund for our assets improvements. And I'll go through that in a little bit, but that's a major concern in my part, I think, in general. So just this final slide on the finance, just to put things in perspective. Back in I was here in '76 when the Prop 13 went in, and Gann and the other advocates of limited government put some limits in place as to what cities, jurisdictions could spend. And the idea was whatever you're spending back, say, in a base year in 1980, that it should not increase more than by inflation and, say, population. And what is shown here in the dashed line is what that limit says is our maximum spending. And you can see the red line down below is what we've been actually spending over time, and that we're way below that limit. And the bottom line is we're running very lean. And over here on the right, I'm just indicating $30 million, which is the shortfall that we need to maintain our assets. And I'll talk more about that at the end. But that's the thing on the finance. We're in good shape. We've got the reserves, but the concern is how do we maintain our assets going forward? So the next topic is on the our local economy. And we have activity picking up quite dramatically at the outlets and the wine country and our hotels. And we're starting to see more small and mid-sized events. And many of our small businesses are still getting back on their feet. And we expect the outdoor recreation and al fresco dining to remain strong this summer and fall. And travel to remain largely regional and domestic this year. And what we're now focused on is refining the expanded outdoor dining footprint that we have. And also, we're awarding 5 $2,000 city grants for special events this fall. We're working with Visit Tri-Valley, LDI, and Livermore Chamber of Commerce to market Livermore as a regional orientation. And as you'll see later in the talk, we seem to be gaining more business than we lost, which is really good. Talking about our local economy, and we've got new and expanding businesses, and some of them are shown here: FM Industries, the Amazon Hub, DHL, and the Monarch tractor, which is pretty cool with the electric tractor. Now we have a bunch of new businesses around town, and logos here. And when I was showing some of these slides earlier, the staff here was saying, oh, I just went to that one or this one. And so I would encourage you all to visit some of these new businesses. And we'll be putting this slide deck up with the speaker notes. And in the speaker notes are the addresses for all of these in case you're interested. But it's really pleased to see what we've got happening around town. We've got new businesses downtown. The Ace Hardware didn't have a ribbon cutting, they had a board cutting, and I was hoping that they were going to be handing out saws, but I don't think they did. But there are a lot of good things happening here in downtown. Again, check them out. And then we have some new businesses coming soon, shown here. So you can see a lot of good things are happening. And again, you can get the addresses and check them out. And all of these obviously have websites, so go see what's happening. The other thing I wanted to mention is wineries are certainly a very important part of the Tri-Valley here in Livermore. And one of the things that the stakeholders are talking about is forming a American viticultural district. And we've got 83 wineries, 2% of gross sales would be an assessment for increased marketing, and that Livermore would be functioning as the lead agency. So hopefully this can happen. The other thing I want to mention with respect to the wineries is that there's a desire from the stakeholders to extend the sewer service down Tesla Road so that the wineries can provide an even better experience for the people that come and visit for the agri-tourism. And that extension would be funded by the county and the wineries that are serviced. And the county, previous Supervisor Haggerty allocated already, I think, $10 million for that project. And there would be no changes to the Livermore residents' utilities bill. And this is something that could appear as a ballot measure in the near future. And I would hope that the community would support it because it is important for the wineries and it would just benefit us. The other thing I want to mention is a big part of what we care about here is supporting the arts, and some of the items are shown here with the murals, the Shakespeare Festival. We got public art displays, and art walk. And I also mentioned that a little while ago, we put the arts interaction with our Arts Commission under our Economic Development Department because we recognized that a very important connection. The next topic, and which came up in a pre-meeting discussion, and it's, I think everybody's well aware, we have an airport in Livermore. It's got a mission to be a self-sustaining air transportation facility, be safe and efficient. Also functions as a reliever airport, and it's a base for the Alameda County Sheriff and Civil Patrol units. And it has a significant economic benefit to Livermore and the surrounding communities, the direct tax revenues to the city, county, and the schools, and indirects to the business support and tourism. And one of the things I want to point out is that the airport is largely subject to governed by FAA regs, and this has significant implications as when projects come before the city as to how we're constrained in when we think about them and whether we are allowed not to approve things in particular. So it's, and bottom line, it's very important for our economy and our emergency response. So the thing that's engendering a lot of discussion, though, is the potential for some upcoming development at LVK. We do have the restaurant, and we've got phase 2 of the Five Rivers fixed base operation coming up. And we've got some airfield geometry improvements. But it's the Kaiser Air development discussion that has really engendered a lot of conversation. And on the right, I want to take you through this chart, if I may. The blue line represents the base aircraft based at the airport. And you can see it's gone down a little bit over these many years. And the green line are the total operations. And you can see that they have significantly decreased, especially when we lost some of the flight schools. Now, the red line represents the complaints. And you can see a big spike of those complaints back when we were talking about what's the future vision for the airport. And based on that, we restricted, instead of expanding the airport's future, we made it less. Now, on the right, you can see is the present, and noise complaints have gone up by a factor of 10 again. And nothing changed physically. And we just recently completed a noise study in cooperation with Pleasanton and Dublin. So again, physically nothing has changed, but the perception, just because we're talking about the airport, has increased complaints by a factor of 10. So, pilots are usually looking at notice to airmen about turbulence. Well, this is the a turbulence graph for the City Council and the Planning Commission. So, fasten your seatbelts if Kaiser does submit a proposal. So next topic is residential. We've got a housing crisis here in the Bay Area and a lot of other places in California and others. And so what are we doing with respect to new residential? In the next set of slides, I'll take you through that. And then we have a variety of projects that are, as I say, just completed and underway, and I'll cover a few of them. The first one is Auburn Grove. It's 108 townhomes on 24 acres, and it was approved as part of the First Street Corridor General Plan Amendment, and it spans from the Livermore Casino to Portola Avenue. The next one I'll talk about is Lassen Road, townhomes and trail. It's on a 12-acre site, northwest corner of First Street and 580. It's 186 new residential 2- and 3-story townhome units, and they're 1,200 to 1,900 square feet in size, and there'll be 14 affordable units there. And it includes 23 acres of publicly accessible open space and trail system, including off-site regional trail connection. And it's a really good because that trail is will connect one of our high priority trails. They're going to be constructed. We've been looking for a while, and it's going to provide a bicycle and pedestrian connection over 580 via the Las Colinas overpass. And that does close a significant gap in our trail network. And the land subdivision is anticipated for the summer or fall of 2021. We don't have yet an estimated timeline for construction. Shown on this slide is Chestnut Square. It's a 116 affordable units for up to 60% of the average median income, and 72 units for seniors greater than 62, 42 affordable rental workforce homes for families, and 5 units for homeless seniors. It has resident services and other shared facilities, and it's now complete. Now, another one that we're looking forward to is called Vineyard 2.0, and it's a supportive services center, and it's being done by the Housing Consortium of the East Bay. That's 24 units of permanent supportive housing with housing resource and referral, basic needs with services with case management and counseling. There's an open heart kitchen facility. It's going to be estimated to be complete in the fall of 22. And there was being funded by $6.1 million of the Alameda County A1 funding, and $1.5 million came directly from Supervisor Haggerty. Another great project that we've got coming along up on First Street is Avance. It's being done by Mid-Penn Housing. And it's 45 units with on-site resident services for persons with developmental disabilities. And it's extremely low-income units, 20% of AMI. And it's under construction with estimated completion in the spring of 22. And the city gave it, Affordable Housing Fund gave it trust fund up to $8 million. It was approved in 2017. And we've just got lots of great projects. The Goodness Village at Crosswinds Church. These are 28 tiny home units for individuals experiencing homelessness. It's out by the airport. And you can see the units on the left, upper left. That's what they look like. There was a ribbon cutting just recently, and you can see the inside of the units. And this thing was spearheaded by former Alameda County Supervisor Haggerty, the Crosswinds Church in the city of Livermore. And what I would like to do is put in a pitch to the community and the businesses, is that this is a project that really needs supporting. So it's one thing to build it, and it's another thing to continue to provide those wraparound services. And there is acreage out there where more units could be built. So I encourage all of you to go there. Really appreciate it and do what you can to support it. It's a wonderful project. Next up is our Isabel specific plan. And, this is a, high-level picture. You can see lots of different colors in the key over there. I'm not going to go through any of it. But this is a very important part of what we're doing to meet our regional housing needs assessment. And so we're not too bad a shape with respect to what's being put on us, and this is a key component. It's 4,100 new residential units and 1,000 affordable units. 3 neighborhood parks, pedestrian and bike facilities, north-south trail connector, and hopefully a Valley Link station where that's got some real chance, I think, now. So that's that project, very important, and it's out there in the future, and it's, as I say, a major part of our growth in the future. So now I'd like to turn to downtown, and we've got a lot going on. It's a beautiful downtown, and we intend to keep it that way and make it even better. So one of the topics that I'll start with, also been in the news recently, is the Legacy Partners project. It's a mixed-use development, diagonally across from the donut wheel on the old Growth Brothers site. It's 222 market rate apartments with on First Street on the first floor, 14,000 square feet of retail. And there's also, people noticed when it was first going up, the huge garage, 392 spaces in an internal multi-level thing. So the project is, the garage is up and it's being framed, and then hit a road bump. And so I'll give you an update on that. The general contractor for the project, Katerra, filed for bankruptcy. Now, Legacy Partners' contract with Katerra is fully bonded, which means they don't have the financial risk, but the project is being paused because the bonding company has to resolve numerous contractual and legal issues in order to restart the project, but it will happen. You've got the courts and the lawyers involved in this. In the meantime, Legacy is still strong, and a second part of the project was to continue the streetscape down First Street to the west, and so that part of the project will be starting shortly. So the exact details of how this thing gets restarted we'll know in the next few weeks, I think, and but there's no real worries with respect to its completion, and it's not going to drag on for years. Next thing I want to cover is the approved downtown plan. And over on the left of this slide, you can see where Legacy Partner is over there just across L Street from the our Catalyst site. Now this plan has been under development for a lot of years. I think it's occupied me for most of my time on the council, actually. And I'll just cover the components here are in the northwest corner, the upper left, is the Eden Housing Project, which I'll talk about in a minute. There's in between is Veterans Park. In the middle here, you can see the Quest Science Center and the Black Box Theater. Those are the cultural facilities. Then there's Blacksmith Square in the upper right of that main block, and it's going to be expanded. We did just complete Stockman's Park. We've got the L Street Garage in the lower left. We've got the I Street Garage in the upper right that's off the picture, and we've got the hotel. And then on the bottom right, we have some more parks and water features. And I'll be covering where we are on all of that. So first thing is we're investing in the new downtown parking garages. Now, the sufficient parking downtown was the community's, I think it still is, the community's top priority during the downtown, for the downtown plan, and we've got a certain amount that we started with. You can see a lot of space is going to be taken away with the new development. And what the council is committed to and what we're doing is making sure that when all is said and done, we've got as much parking, or a little more actually, than we started with, not only the initial start point, but enough to cover the new uses as well. So that's a commitment that we're following through on. And what you can see here, we got 775 spaces of parking is going to be built. Not cheap. It's $51 million. And the I Street Garage is under construction now. It'll be in the spring of next year. And then we'll get the L Street Garage going after that's complete. And it'll be late summer of '23 when that comes online. It's a big deal and a lot of money, but we're following through on the commitments. Now, just to orient you here, this is looking south on L Street from Railroad Avenue. On the right is the Legacy Partners when it's finished. And on the left is the Eden Housing Project. So this is the a shot of part of the buildings on Eden Housing. And it's for affordable workforce housing. That's its main focus. And it will be priority ranking for people who live and work in Livermore. It's 130 units. It's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And there's 2 buildings separated by Veterans Park. And residents will be able to walk or bike to the nearby transit hub. And this is a view from that corner on Railroad and L. And really want to emphasize, this is filling the commitment we made 17 years ago to build housing on the site when the land was purchased using affordable housing funds. So we're following through on that commitment. This table is a little busy, and you can find it on the city website. Yeah, I'm just putting it here to make the point that a variety of essential workers definitely qualify. On the left are the occupations, police department, school district, healthcare, downtown workers. And the table, all those check marks are for what's the number of units, size of the family, and what kind of income do you need. But these are all who can qualify, and these represent real salaries in Livermore right now for our essential workforce. So now that the hot weather was upon us, it's been a little chilly recently, but we have the downtown water features. I'll just point out that Lizzie Fountain on the right and Mayor Marchand, we made sure that it stayed on, even in the drought, because the water usage is not that much, but it is so appreciated by the kids, as you can see playing here. So we have one more going to be coming online, and it has a lot of significance. And it's and again, this Mayor Marchand is a visionary behind this one. There's a sphere water feature. It's floating on a water, and the kids can go there and rotate it around. It represents the nucleus of Livermorium, the element that was created at the Livermore lab. And surrounding it, and those lights embedded in the surface represent the electron cloud. And then construction on this begins in 2021. And that's located right next to Pete's, cut a corner from Lizzie Fountain. I'm really happy to say that we've dedicated, Stockmen's Park is open. It's beautiful. And on the left, we just had the Memorial Day event, which was well attended, even though it was really hot, and people appreciated it. And I'm very happy that when I see people with their children enjoying the park, and I drive by it often, as you can well imagine, just to see what's happening, and I'm glad it's there. Now, the other park that's going to be part of the housing is Veterans Park. It's a large park, and in the foreground is the children's playground, and this thing is going to be 30% larger than originally envisioned when we approved the tract map in the earlier stages of the planning for the housing element. So I'll give you, I've got some good news on the downtown retail, hotel, and cultural facilities. Blacksmith Square plans are expected soon. Mike Madden spent a couple hours with me and took me through what he's going to do, and it's going to be beautiful. And he was saying his architect thinks one of the the buildings might be award-winning, and that'll be a great ad. So we could see construction on that happening end of the year and the beginning of next year. Talking to the hotelier, they're going to be submitting. They got restarted there on the plans. They'll be submitted by the end of the year. They're in final negotiations for buying the lot for the valet parking, so things are looking good there. The Black Box Theater is in the midst of fundraising, and what you can see here in the picture is the Quest Science Center, which is going to be in the middle on the top left there. We just had a groundbreaking for its temporary structure to be used for some summer program. So we're moving ahead after the pandemic on the downtown. Now, I want to cover, looking further ahead, we've got some major undertakings going on, and we also have the goals and priorities that the new council recently adopted. So I'll cover through the goals and priorities first. We have asset management, stormwater, general plan, downtown, homelessness, affordable housing, and modernization. Now I think and this is what we're doing to set the stage for continuing success. I want to point out that some of these are are continuations and some of them are new. So the homelessness and the downtown are things that we've been working on for a long time and will continue to do that. Asset management is something we've been focused on, but we've added stormwater explicitly because of the growing impact it's going to have on our budget to meet all of the new regulations. The new ones are the general plan, and which I'm going to cover in a minute, and modernization, which modernization makes sure that our processes are efficient and resilient. And so there's a lot of internal process improvement there. I'll cover the general plan update. What we have here is something that's really fundamental and important, and it guides our development and conservation in the city for the next couple of decades. The current one was adopted in the current one we have to update now, and is valid through 2025. It was adopted in 2001. And these updates are major efforts, and so we're starting now to be ready for 2026. In the box there in the middle, you can see the elements that are in a general plan: land use, circulation, noise, public safety, housing, community character, infrastructure, public service, open space, conservation, economic development, physical, and climate change. And so very broad, and we're going to be recruiting for people to help us on this from the community. Another aspect of what we have here is the asset management program that I mentioned earlier. We've got over $3 billion of infrastructure assets, and we currently are spending about $10 million a year, but we need $40 million, and that's that difference is that $30 million I showed you on that earlier chart. We've formed a committee, citizens committee, to help prioritize. 9 volunteers, 30 meetings, collected and analyzed asset data, used risk-based methodology, and get a better understanding of our funding needs. And we're doing the public outreach now. The campaign's underway, because frankly, we don't have enough money to maintain everything at the level that we've got it out right now. So this is very important input for maintaining our assets with limited resources. And we have a couple of other action plans happening too. One's a climate action plan, and it outlines our strategies and activities for reducing our fair share of greenhouse gas emissions. And it's got a number of components to it, and very important impact on how we live in the future. And associated with that is an active transportation plan. And that also improves our walking, biking trails in Livermore while focusing our 4 main goals that are shown here. And what I want to point out is we're not trying to do either of these plans alone either. The climate action plan, we're fortunate enough to have a couple of very world-renowned laboratories that focus on these kinds of things. We'll engage them. We've got a lot of citizens that are very competent in this area. So again, we're looking for people to engage on these to help us figure out what we need to do. So I want to end on this last section here. It was really fun. Is we're an award-winning city, and we continue to be, and it's really good. And I've always enjoyed this section when Mayor Marchand went through it. So here's to start with what our residents think. There's a 2020 National Citizen Survey. It's done every 2 years, and Livermore continues as a great place to live. You can see here the 16, 18, 20 in the 90s, and that's we're consistently rate high, and not every city manages that. You can also, safewise.com does rates the safety of cities, and we've been ranked again as one of the safest cities in 2021. I think this is based on crime rates calculated for California cities with a metropolitan area of at least 300,000 people. There's 229 cities, and we ranked in the top 25% for the 3rd consecutive year. Then the East Bay News Group does a bunch of ratings, and we managed to capture a number of them. So this is Best of the East Bay 2021, wine bar, the best Chinese food, best Italian food, best dive bar, best specialty cocktail, the best live theater with shakes, and best Mexican food with Casa Rosco. And here's another, we even have another set here with best place for a wedding at Wente, heating and air. So again, Uncle Credit Union, you got to mention that with Harold. So so we're doing well. And then also want to point out that we've got award-winning schools and California Distinguished Schools, Modern Continuation High School, International Baccalaureate Commendations, California Positive Behavior Coalition Awards, California Green Ribbon Gold Award, and Healthier U.S. School Challenge Awards. We've got a great school district and a wonderful cooperative relationship that the city and the school district has. And that'll show up on the next slide here, which is the All-American City Award, which we just won. It was focused, the theme this year was building equitable and resilient communities. And it's awarded by the National Civic League. And we're very pleased to have gotten this. And this kind of award has been out since 1949 to recognize communities that successfully address local issues through civic engagement, collaboration, inclusiveness, and innovation. And we competed against 19 other finalist cities from across the country. And our application centered on community-driven projects addressing youth mental health, anti-vaping policy and education, equity and inclusion and social injustice, and affordable housing and homelessness. And you'll recognize that these are all topics that the community has been focused on, and it was a great team effort from the city of Livermore, the school district, the park district, the local college, and the Chamber of Commerce. And I did want to especially acknowledge Superintendent Kelly Bowers, because she played a key leadership role in getting the team together to compete for this award. So special thanks to her. And the bottom line is we have an active and engaged community, full of citizens who care deeply about their city and their neighbors, and who step up to create a welcoming and inclusive community. One other thing I want to mention before I leave this award is the equity and inclusion was a major part of it, and we formed an equity and inclusion subcommittee and a working group, and that working group has just wrapped up a series of 41 meetings. It was pretty, a marathon, and they were discussing 4 main topics: community culture and representations, policing and human services, reaching and inspiring youth, housing, workplace, economic, and transportation environments. So what we did very carefully, rather than have some kind of, quick reaction to all of the turmoil after George Floyd, we're very deliberate thinking about that. We engaged the community, and I ask everybody to tune in on the July 26th council meeting, because their 11 recommendations will be presented there, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of results of a lot of good work, and we should have a good discussion, and we'll have suggestions for how we move forward. So the bottom line here is, you can see that Livermore is a great place to work, live, play, and go to school. And I'd like to point out, this didn't happen by accident, but it took a lot of hard work and dedication by many individuals and organizations. And we have a great staff at the city. Mark Roberts has done a great job, and the people that work for him, Jason Akal, our city attorney, and our other governmental agencies have great staffs as well in Livermore, and we've got wonderful working relationships. So this was very deliberate, took a lot of hard work. And so I want to say another thank you. I especially want to thank Mayor Marchand for his vision and leadership over many years, and Bob Woerner and other former council members. We've all worked very hard together on what's going on. And I'd like to thank the current and former advisory body members and all the volunteers who contributed over the years. And I want to give special appreciation to those who helped prepare this talk, especially Mary Ann Lobo, who spent many long hours with me and very patient. And thanks to all of you for participating today. So now, ready for your questions.
All right, Bob, I've got a few questions here for you, and hopefully more will come in. But first, before the questions, there's a lot of kudos in the chat for you and the City Council. But getting to some questions, Laura has a question. What percentage of the parking spaces in the new downtown garages will have EV charging stations?
That I don't know. Maybe Mark or Paul Spence could tell me. I've got to confess, I just recently bought a new car. I don't do that. I mean, it's the first new one I bought for myself in 30 years, frankly, but it's electric. And so you can be assured I'll be asking that question and getting the answer out. I'll just say one other thing. I got this electric car. I used to be impatient behind people with electric cars, and how slowly they pulled out. But now I'm turning into one of those people. So just be patient if you're behind me.
All right, we do have another question, but if anybody else has questions, please type them in the chat, and I will read them to Bob here. So Laura has another question. While developing the new general plan, will the World Health Organization's age-friendly principles be implemented?
Well, I would have to know what all those are, but what I would say on the new general plan, we're going to be looking for input from everywhere and good thinking. So I would hope that we would understand what they are and make good decisions.
All right, we have another question here from Michael. Congratulations on your successful affordable housing strategy. Tremendous leadership. Question about the general fund gap, $30 million. Is the current gap particular to Livermore infrastructure initiatives or due to general conditions that have affected neighboring cities such as Dublin? And what steps are planned to close the gap going forward?
So the first thing is, thank you for that question. Give me a chance to explain a little better. The thing is, we have, as I said, $3 billion of assets. And every year you have to maintain and replace some proportion of that. And fortunately, Livermore is relatively young in the scheme of things. We've been around for 150 years or whatever. But most of the infrastructure is in good shape, but not all of it. And it's part of the world. I mean, the U.S., you hear about all the bridges falling down. It's one thing to build something. It's quite another to maintain it. So this is just general, things fall apart. It's what happens in your house and everything else. So that's what the problem is. The thing is, given all of the other obligations we have, public safety and general operations, the revenues that we get don't allow us to have enough money to spend as much as we should on maintaining the assets. Now, I should also point out that Livermore is at the forefront of this. This is something I initiated 6 years ago for us to explicitly acknowledge this problem. Most cities do not. In fact, I don't know of another one that's got as robust a program we have to tee it up and say, we got to solve this. So I'm just giving people a heads up now. We need to figure out how to close that gap.
Well, hopefully we can get a couple more questions. I don't have any in the chat right now, but there are a couple kudos here. One from John at Comcast. Thank you for making Livermore such a wonderful place to live, work, and play. Livermore and hashtag Tri-Valley Strong. One from LVJ USD. By working and collaborating together, we stay Livermore strong. Hashtag. Thank you, Mayor Woerner and Livermore City Council for your leadership. We have another one. Is this a question? Nope. It's from former Mayor John Marchand. There was a lot of great information presented today. It all adds up to create a great city. Thanks to everyone who makes this happen. One from Splend. He says, great presentation. And that is all I have for right now. Actually, one just came in from Brittany Kick, Council Member Kick. Feeling honored to have joined this council and proud of the staff. Bob, can you let people know how individuals can get involved in the general plan process?
Well, I think we're going to be recruiting people to be part of the advisory committee on that. We'll have information up on the website. And we'll probably be putting notices out on how to participate as well. But I don't think that what we're about to do with that general update, plan update, that's the most important thing we're going to be working on. And it's going to take years. We need to do it well. And the more input we have, the better it will be.
Excellent. And then another question from John from Comcast. Quick question on fire prevention preparedness this year.
I don't think we're doing more this year than we have in the past. We do have the, and a lot of the surrounding areas county, but we are making sure we're in touch with the county. We're doing our part, make sure that people abate their weeds and other, vegetation. We're sending out notices. Glad to see I border Robertson Park. I'm always happy when the goats come through to clear out the dry grasses. So we're doing a lot. I don't think we're doing anything more than we normally do, but we are prepared.
We have another question from Gina. Update on GP effort at upcoming CC meeting.
Oh, what kind of efforts?
Update on GP effort at upcoming city council meeting.
GP, general plan efforts, is that it?
I assume, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
628. Yeah, general plan.
Yeah. I think we will, we'll be periodically addressing what's going on there. I don't know the exact schedule.
All right. Let's see. Craig Bueno from LVJ USD. Thank you, City of Livermore, for your partnership with LVJ USD and LARPD on the recent effort to provide vaccination opportunities to our community. Together, we are stronger in recovery.
Well, if I could just say something, I'm glad Craig brought that up, and forgot to mention it. But the fact that with the vaccines were rolled out so quickly with the government agencies and the school district played a key role in setting up facilities where we could get that done. We have more to do, but I just saw in the paper today that 70%, I think, of California is vaccinated. Well, that's not true of all parts of our population. So I think we still need to make concerted efforts to get everybody vaccinated.
We have a question from Carolyn. Please comment on drought mitigation requirements. Any restrictions to watering our yards?
It just came up at the recent council meeting. If you look at the calculations as to how much water we need versus everything else, you would say we're kind of good, but that kind of presumes that this is the end of it and things turn back to normal. So what I would say is, even if official restrictions haven't been rolled out, I think it's in everybody's best interest to do what you can to conserve water, and we'll just be ahead of the game. But I think the large swings that we have from dry to wet, we're better off if we just assume it's going to be dry. So official restrictions haven't been rolled out. There's voluntary requests, but do what you can.
Like my wife says, it's our civic duty to do our part to conserve water. All right, so Carla Brown, Mayor of Pleasanton, asks, Mayor Woerner, thank you for your partnership with the Pleasanton and Dublin Mayor to keep the Tri-Valley as a wonderful place to live and work and raise a family. Carla Brown, I thought it was a question. It's not a question, just some kudos.
But I'm glad you mentioned what Carla said, because I'm real pleased that I became mayor at the same time as Melissa and Carla. And we've got a good working relationship, and we all three share the fact that we're in a Tri-Valley and we need to cooperate together. And that's also true of our neighboring cities north on 680 as well. We understand we're all part of the same area, and if we work together, we can be more effective in delivering for our communities.
We have another question, an update on ValleyLink.
Well, good. The ValleyLink just got $20 million, I think, earmarked by Representative Swalwell. That's a small number in compared to the billions it's going to take, but it is indicative. It's now part of the federal program, and it's a lead for us to get other funding. What Alameda County, I would say, has done its share, and this again, Mayor Marchand, Scott Haggerty, Supervisor Haggerty did a lot to help, and it's going to depend now on making sure that our neighbors to the east in the valley pass the right tax measures to help fund that share of the system. But I'm on the board, and I'm optimistic that we're on a good path. And again, I'm very happy that all of the cities on both sides of the Altamont are behind this, and that's a key to getting that thing done.
All right. Carolyn from the Pedrosi Foundation asked, what is the positive economic impact of the wide range of businesses other than retail, hotel, restaurants, and wineries located in Livermore?
I don't have the quantitative number on that, but just the fact that we have a lot of businesses here that imply, provide jobs for people and contribute to the local economy. And it's because we have a spectrum of businesses and workers that we're so focused on making sure that we have the spectrum of the housing available for them, because we really want the people who work in Livermore to be able to live in Livermore.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Oh.
Well,
We just had one come in from John Freeman. I appreciate your presentation and working with city on future projects. I appreciate the public-private partnership the city has done working with utility companies.
Oh, good. Well, maybe we can wrap on this point. Cooperation is the key. We don't get things done by being, otherwise. And the more people that can come and contribute, even, public forum at the council meetings, emails, getting on the advisory committees, volunteering, the better off we are. And I say once again, I appreciate the fact that the city of Livermore and all the surrounding agencies and cities are quite cooperative. And so I think we're on a good track here. And again, we're an award-winning city, but because of all those people.
Okay, Mayor Woerner, thank you so much for a great presentation. What a fantastic time ahead for the city of Livermore. They always say, if you look in your rear view window, you're looking at a very small piece. You got to look back a little bit. But the presentation that Mayor Woerner passed along is we are definitely looking out the windshield to some great things as the economy opens up. I want to thank everyone for attending today, and I hope you enjoyed the event. Be sure to catch the video of the state of the city on the Chamber's website. It will be there in its entirety, and so you'll want to check it out. It's great stuff, and if you missed something or you want to share with others on your teams, please do so. We'll also be following up with an email survey regarding today's experience, and we would appreciate your feedback. That's what makes it better. Please save the date for Thursday, October 28th, when we host the Tri-Valley Mayors Summit. This only comes around in the city, I believe it's every 5 years, so this is a can't-miss event. And as we return to in-person events, thank God, check our website for additions to our calendar and the various events that are on the horizon. Well, as we wrap up, I've been saying, be safe, stay calm, and carry on. But I'm going to say to all of us, let's think big, let's start small, and let's scale fast to get this economy back and growing in the great place that we live, work, and play. Have a great day and a great afternoon. See you next time.